of the House again today. The application is therefore declined. Would some honourable member care to move that the House takes note of miscellaneous business? Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, well, over the weekend something went wrong with daylight saving because everyone else in New Zealand turned their clocks back 1 hour. But on the Labor Party, they turned their political clocks back 40 years. And so they spent yesterday arguing that National should clean up its mistakes from the 1975 election. I thought they were a bit backward-looking, just a bit, when they spent most of last year burnishing their economic credentials for the run-up to the 2008 election. Their budgets, their debts, their deficits, all that stuff. And of course they still think that the 2008 election result was a big mistake. And that one day the public will wake up and realise that. And John Key will blow away like a flake in the wind, Helen will be back and all will be well. But I ask myself, why is it that they would spend a whole day yesterday, 5 months out from an election, talking about the 1975 election that occurred before some of the MPs in this House were born? And I figure out why they want to talk about the 1975 election. Because it means they don't have to talk about David Cunliffe. That's why. A man sinking in a sea of his own self-importance. His classy intervention on the first day of the Royals tour, among a whole lot of other things. And we look forward to next week's edition of Campbell Live. It is at the Doer Upper, because he'll be there in his paint-spattered overalls with his mate having been down to Bunnings to buy a second-hand hammer and show us how he's doing up his house in his shiny Gumbies, Mr. Speaker. So that's why the Labor Party is still talking about the 1975 election and a decision at the time around national superannuation at a time when today's new recipients of national superannuation were 25 years old. I mean, I used to think that Labor was reading the books from the best Fabian thinking of the 1970s. I didn't realise that they were in some kind of daylight-saving time machine, reliving it, not just reading about it, but reliving it, and reliving when they get tired of that in the 2008 election. But of course, if they couldn't bring themselves to talk about their leader, and why would they should be able to talk about their hard-working, effective team. But they don't. They don't. Well, that's because there's no hard-working, effective team to talk about. I know David Parker, standing up yesterday, would have liked to talk about the hard-working, effective team, having decided that he's getting dragged down by the leader. Is he the deputy leader or the... No, is he... Which one's... He's the finance spokesman. One of them. I don't know who the deputy leader is. And that's saying something, knowing how irrelevant deputy leaders are. You'd think I would sympathise with them, but I don't, actually. So, Mr. Speaker, the Labor Party's letting its own people down. I mean, it's letting down this Parliament, there's no doubt about that, but it's letting down its own people, because the kind of forward-looking, aspirational politics and leadership that Labor Party voters are looking for is coming from our Prime Minister. There's absolutely no doubt about that, and that's why increasing numbers of them are turning away, having stuck with Labor for 5 years, now think they can't even make a decent opposition and are turning away to look to the leadership that shows their path to a better future for their kids, that shows a real interest in the safety of their communities, that ensures that they get the health services they need, but on top of that, a thriving economy that can deliver wage and income increases over the next 4 or 5 years.
Time has expired. The question is the motion be agreed to. Dr Kennedy Graham.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Sir, an hour ago